we're coming to your city. We're gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
And welcome along to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Thank you so much for coming along, whatever you're doing, wherever you may be going. We appreciate you taking us along for the ride. Justin Kalen's high atop the Crew Chiefs box, as always.
That's right.
Hope your day's off to a great start and your week is there as well. We've got plenty to get to today. As always, Terry Hutchins is on the program. And then today we're going to try to get A.J. Moyer back. We thought we had him yesterday, but rescheduled for today. So hopefully we get to talk to A.J. Looking forward to that. Lots of things to get to in regards to the Pacers, college football potential changes, all kinds of stuff going on. But let's get to the headlines with Justin first.
All right, here are your headlines for this Thursday, December 13th, brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. Kentucky sophomore basketball player Quade Green announces yesterday that he will be a midseason transfer. Reds with a good offseason trade yesterday as they get starting pitcher Tanner Roark from the Nationals. And Chargers and Chiefs are set for Thursday night football here tonight. Those are your headlines for this December 13th. Brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
Make sure you hit us up on the text line with any quotes, comments, questions. 812-269-6367. Let us know what you're thinking. If you have any questions for Terry Hutchins or A.J. Moyer coming up on the program later today. Lots going on. Talk about college football going to 8 teams, playoff teams. What are your thoughts on that? Hit us up. Yeah. Let us know. I know I like it. It takes away one debate, but it's just going to bring another one. Who's going to be the 8th team? Who's the 7th team? Who's the 8th team? What's the difference between the 9th team and the 10th team? Same thing that's going on now, except for the Big Ten's not going to get left out.
Sure.
Or somebody else, the Big 12 is not going to get left out, or the Pac-12 is not going to get left out. That's kind of, this is just a pacification measure is all this is. And then what about Central Florida? Would they have made it in? They're still sitting, I think, number 9, aren't they? In the college football playoff?
I think that's maybe what they finished, yeah.
But I've really changed my mind about them. I bet you I'd like to see them play Notre Dame.
Oh, they're at 8.
Okay, that they would have gotten in this year.
And got thrashed by Bama.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, last year they beat Auburn, who beat Alabama.
Yeah, but that doesn't always work in sports.
No, it doesn't. But they haven't been beaten in 2 years. And last year, you put up the only team that beat Alabama against them, and they got beat. So I'm beyond the point of, hey, give them a chance.
Yeah.
Now, it'd be nice. It would have been nice for them to be at their utmost efficiency at that, with last year's team or even this year's team. It doesn't even have the same quarterback now. But that's some of these conferences were getting pissed. The Pac-12 just doesn't have a chance. The Big 12 rarely gets in, and the Big 10 has been jilted the last 2 years.
For the Big 12.
So that's going to take care of that, and I think it rightfully so, because you got other differences. The Big 10 mandates 9 conference games. Everybody else plays 8. Yeah. 1 game difference. It's only 1 game. Big difference. Because now those teams in the SEC and all the ACC, they're playing 8 conference games. That means they get 4 non-conference games. So you should be theoretically 4-0 every season. You should have 4 wins built into your schedule, which means you only have to win 2 conference games to become bowl eligible.
No problem.
Now, that would be a tremendous boost for teams like Indiana, Maryland, etc. It's a huge difference having to play, especially You look at Indiana, mandated to play 9 games, okay? First of all, they play in the Big Ten East. There's 4 losses almost guaranteed every year.
Can we play 8 games?
Well, that's something that's been brought up, but I don't know that the Big Ten's going to make that change. They've talked about changing as far as eliminating divisions, but now what does this measure of 8 teams do for that? Does that have any effect on the Big Ten's thought of doing away with the divisions, which I still think they should, because I still think it hurts the conference overall. There's too mismatched.
What do you think the odds are that this actually pans out?
Which one?
Just the whole playoff system going up to 8 teams. I just don't see that happening in the next 5-10 years, but who knows?
I see it happening. When you hear them start talking about stuff, that means they're in the process of doing something. Because the guys that pay them the money, the guys that control the money, the conferences, the school presidents, the conference presidents, when you have the Big Ten and the Big 12 and the Pac-12 going, hey, whoa, yo, we're not getting our share here. We're not liking this. We're 3 out of the 5 votes. That's a majority. Hello.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is important to keep in mind that money kind of rules this whole thing. So you add 4 more teams, you've ultimately got 4 more games. That's how much more money?
But you've got teams that aren't getting the money in. That's the thing.
Right.
That's the deal.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. At first, I was in favor of bumping it up to 8. Then I kind of went back to, well, maybe it's good how it is. And now I kind of teeter back and forth between, should we stay at 4? Should we go to 8? I think 8 would be a lot of fun. I mean, it's going to make it more of, I don't want to say March Madness atmosphere, but I mean, you'll have more of that bracket type feel with 8 teams as opposed to 4.
Not sure about that, but I'm sure that you're going to get.
But here's my
conference. Here's the thing: is you're assuredly going to get every conference.
Yeah.
You're going to get a second team from at least one conference guaranteed every year. You're probably going to get a group of 5 team in, maybe. And that covers the 8 right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd venture to say it'd be all Power 5 every year, except for special scenarios like UCF where they would clearly get in. But, I mean, I think the majority of the years it would likely be 8 Power 5 schools. And I'm not convinced that the Pac-12 always gets a team in because they've been awful the past few years.
I agree. But I think you're going to see USC on the rise.
Sure, yeah.
They're making some noise out there. They hired, as the offensive coordinator, their former head coach for Texas Tech, who just was slaying people this year and somehow lost his job.
USC's game.
Oh, very much so. I think you're going to see that program rise back up from the ashes. But the Big Ten division alignment would give teams like Indiana a little bit more breathing room in life. Now, if you were to take it back to 8 conference games versus 9, well, that makes a humongous difference. Yeah. Humongous difference.
I mean, then you're looking, if you're Indiana, then you're looking at beating Rutgers and one other team along with your 4 non-conference games, and you're going to a bowl pretty much every year.
You got Rutgers and Maryland.
Well, there you go.
You got 2 shots just inside your division.
Yeah.
On top of, if you can raise your level of play, which they're obviously trying to do, maybe you can compete with a Michigan State, a Penn State. They were there.
I don't know. This whole thing just seems kind of like something you talk about a lot, the whole millennial mentality where we're just going to give everybody a participation trophy. Like, let's make it easier for teams to go to bowl games. Let's make it easier for every conference to get into the playoff system.
Let's make it even.
Sure.
See, the SEC, the ACC are playing 8. The Big Ten's playing 9.
Right.
the Big Ten has the most loaded division in all of football. So it's not really, let's give everybody a trophy. Let's make it even for everybody. Let's make it the same. Because the teams that play, like Rutgers, Maryland, Indiana, they are at the biggest disadvantage of any other team in football. They play in the toughest division in all of college football in a conference that is misaligned. And they're required to play 9 conference games versus 8. They're at a disadvantage. After they go through, let's say again, I use Indiana, after they go through the gauntlet of Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State, then they got to draw somebody from the West. Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska.
Maybe Big Ten should go back to legends and leaders.
Ooh. That was a boneheaded move. I'd almost forgotten about that. How's your day going? I hope it's going well. We got a lot to get to. Like I said, Terry Hutchins on the program today. We'll talk about all kinds of things, Indiana with Terry. A.J. Moye, former IU great, on the program. Had him yesterday, but we couldn't get him on, so hopefully we can get that scheduled or taken care of today. Make sure you reach out and follow us, IndianaSportsBeat.com. You know, you can sign up there and have each show just delivered to you that way. You don't have to worry about ever missing a thing. Don't miss a beat with Indiana Sports Beat. You can also find us on Facebook, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. We're everywhere.
Ubiquitous.
We are ubiquitous. Right now, we're in a break. We've got lots more coming back. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat comes back right after this.
I sure don't want to hurt no one.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Joined now by Matt Weaver from Peaks.com. Matthew, how are you, sir?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Good, good. Busy time in the world of football recruiting right now, and Indiana poised to bring in a really, really good recruiting class on top of a good recruiting class from last year.
Yeah, they had a big weekend this past weekend. We talked about it a little bit last week, and none of the guys that came in have made a decision yet, but I think they're close to getting some. Some still have some visits to make before signing day next week, and some are just kind of waiting. I think to maybe make their decision or reveal what they're going to do. But it was a good weekend. A lot of big-time guys came in. Several of their top targets were on campus, and it seemed like it was a very successful weekend. Now, how successful we'll find out. I mean, obviously, it's great if they have fun, but at the end of the day, you got to get some commits out of it.
Yeah, and I know the odds are long for many different reasons, but what would it mean to Indiana if they could land someone like David Bell?
Well, I mean, for one, at least I'd have to go back and look, but he might be the highest-rated recruit, at least in the time I've been doing this. And they had the 2012 or 13 class. I can't remember which one it was. When they had David Kenny and Darius Latham and Antonio Allen and Rashard Fan, they actually had 4 4-star guys in that class. And I'd have to look at the rankings, but it would just be huge because, obviously coming off 2 disappointing seasons, you beat out your main rival, your big rival in Purdue, and obviously they're coming off 2, not great seasons, but 2 bowl seasons, and so they had some momentum. To steal him from them would be a monster. Plus, and that's just talking about off the field. On the field, he's a really special player. I mean, 6'2", 6'3" or so, long, athletic, explosive. Can take a 5-yard slant, take it 70 yards to the house. You can throw the ball deep to him downfield. He's a terrific player. I mean, that's why he's rated what he is and why he's got the offers he's got. And they like to get another receiver, and they've got a good group of receivers, but this is a guy that could come in and immediately, I think he could have a Rondell Moore type impact next year for a team.
Absolutely. Has Indiana ever landed a 5-star?
Maybe back years ago, I think like Bo Barzalauskas. This was obviously before the internet days, but there was rating services back then. I think Bo Barzalauskas was a 5-star, and I want to say, and this is going way back, Dave Schnell, the quarterback.
Right.
But in the present kind of recruiting site days, No, they did for a few months when they had Gunnar Kiel.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier, but they never got it.
Yeah, so they did. They actually had a 5-star commit for I think how long Gunnar was committed. I don't know, about 3 or 4 months. But yeah, they never in these kind of recruiting internet days, they've never signed a 5-star.
Which numbers are only a number, but that seems to bear things out as they go forward. But Indiana, like I said, looking to add a good recruiting class, which is very, very important because Tom Allen's main theme is to continue to add depth, which we all know is extraordinarily important. It's something Indiana has not had the luxury of as a program in the Big Ten, which is the difference between competing in that Big Ten East and not. And speaking of the Big Ten East, been some talk that there is a possibility of the divisions going away, which I know that that's not something that's going to happen overnight, but at least that discussion has been brought up because now with the Big Ten sitting out of the college football playoffs for the last couple of years, they're looking at having to do something different with obvious reasons. You've got a Big Ten East that is packed tighter than any division in any conference in football, I think, and that includes the SEC.
Yeah, and the other thing people have talked about, I don't think this is going to be changed, but is the 9-game conference schedule. A couple other conferences don't do that; they only play 8. But the divisions, and I said this, just to people privately, but I don't know if we've talked about it. To me, this was where it was headed if they missed out on the playoff for the second year in a row, and that's what happened. That's a lot of money. First of all, it's a bad look for the Big Ten. You're supposed to be with the SEC, the preeminent football conference in football. 2 years in a row, you're not in the playoff. But secondly, it's a money grab. I mean, you're missing out on a bunch of money by not playing in that, having a team in that playoff, playing in one of those two, whatever you want to call them, Final Four type bowl games to go to the national title. And it's because you're kind of cannibalizing each other with the way you got the division set up. The West does not have a team that's capable of getting there, and the East has a couple, but they're beating each other up. And so by the time you get to the end of the season, you're on the outside looking in. So it's not shocking to me that this is being discussed. I mean, I know Jerry DiNardo before the season came out and said, I think it was on Big Ten Network, that he thinks they need to redo the divisions, or I don't know if he said get rid of them, but he said he thinks they need to redo them and balance them out a little bit. And I wholeheartily agree. And I know it's easy for Indiana people to say that because it's a tough division, but it's just better for the Big Ten. I mean, your 4 best teams, arguably. I was talking to Matt Canada on the field before IU played Maryland, and the 4 best teams arguably are in the East: Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, and then you can make an argument that Michigan State's the 4th best program in the Big Ten. At worst, they're as good as Wisconsin, who is probably right now the best program in the West. So at worst, you got your top 3, and then another one that's you can make an argument it's the 4th best. That's out of whack. It's not good business by the Big Ten, and to me it makes sense to switch it up to kind of balance out the divisions.
And while I agree wholeheartedly with everything you've said, and I think that there has to be change, because I think if you're a team like Indiana, Maryland, or even Rutgers, you don't have a chance of getting – I mean, you can't even get out of your division, much less anything else. But I don't know that it would have made any difference this year for the Big Ten because Ohio State, they made it through the Big Ten East. It was the Big Ten West they couldn't get through again. And not only do they not get through it, but they get drilled. So I don't know. It wouldn't have had really any effect this year because Michigan and Ohio State would have had to play at least in the Big Ten Conference Championship at the very least. And if Michigan loses, they lose. But if Ohio State is losing to Purdue by 3 touchdowns, that's not going to change anything this year. But as far as the alignment, I do agree.
Yeah, and that's a good point. The one thing where I don't know if it would have changed this year. But when you play Northwestern in your conference, and nothing against Northwestern, I mean, Pat Fitzgerald does a fantastic job. I think he's one of the best coaches in college football. But they were an 8-4 team that had lost at home to Akron and a few. I mean, I think they lost all their non-conference games at home, and so they were kind of. I mean, obviously on paper they were not a great conference championship opponent, and I think that's one of the things that played in. I mean, even though Ohio State beat them pretty soundly, the fact that Oklahoma had Texas. Gave them the upper hand as far as kind of style points and how it looked. So the one thing that it might have changed is if Ohio State plays, I don't know how they ever break it down. Let's say they play a better opponent in the conference championship. Maybe they play Michigan again. Some people were talking about what if they play 2 weeks in a row. Well, who cares if they play 2 weeks in a row? If they play Michigan again and they win again, maybe that's enough to catapult them up to that 4th spot. I don't know if it would have been. It's all speculation, and we can talk about it. But I do think that's one other thing is when you have such a weak West division, even if Ohio State might be one of the 4 best teams, it takes away, it tarnishes the Big Ten title because you just don't know how good a team really is. And I think that obviously the Purdue loss was a killer for them. They really had, and then they didn't play great at the end of the season.
Well, the Maryland game didn't help either. They have to go to overtime, and if it wasn't for Matt Canada deciding to go for 2, they may not have won that game.
Yeah, and so that's one other thing. But I think that's another reason to switch things up is hopefully you get your 2 best teams in the championship game at the end of the year, and instead you got Ohio State and Penn and then Northwestern, which they were probably in the middle of the pack as far as the entire Big Ten.
Matt, text into the show. Justin Kalen here. Text in from Tim asks, do you think they are telling Bell that Michael Penix will be the quarterback next year and they will be a great duo?
Well, I would hope that they would. I would hope that they would sell them. Tell David Bell. I think the biggest thing you need to sell him on, even more than is the scheme. I don't know what they sold him on as far as the scheme, but hopefully they're not selling him on. You're going to run 5-yard crossing routes, and we're going to check the ball down and all that kind of stuff. I think they need to sell him on what their vision will be going forward, and then tell them that they'll have a quarterback like Penix or somebody else, and they still got to add a quarterback in this class that can make the throws, can run the offense that will highlight what he can do. He's not going to come to Indiana to run the offense they ran, or at least the passing routes they ran. So to me, the biggest thing is they need to show him, and it's hard to do it because you didn't do it this year. But that's where as a coach, you've got to sell him on it. That's what you are. You're a salesman. You got to tell this. You got to, make it convincing and show you this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to use you. Maybe you draw up plays that video plays that you use and say, this, we're going to run more of these, and we're going to have a quarterback in Michael Penix or somebody else that can get the ball down the field more than we did this year. And we had to run these plays because this is who our quarterback was. I think they should have played Penix. They can say all they want. I know, Jim, we've talked about this just ad nauseum, but to me, that's what you got to sell them on. More than who the quarterback is, you got to sell them on your scheme and what you're going to do. Because if Michael Penix gets hurt again, you got to have somebody else who can do it. Hopefully they do. But that's what you got to sell him and all receivers on, all skill players. We're going to highlight what you do best, and we're going to showcase you the best we can because this is a kid that I'm sure is thinking about playing in 3 or 4 years at the next level because he's got that kind of ability.
Absolutely, and that's one thing Tom Allen is good at. He is a great salesperson of that program because he's very believable because he tells the truth. But hopefully, if he can get that job done or not, that's going to be that would be one hell of a recruiting job if he can land David Bell. I'll be the first one to tell you. Not that he hasn't already done a hell of a recruiting job. He has. He's doing a great job recruiting. They're bringing in some great athletes. I hope that they are also shoring up things like the offensive line, which to me is going to be critical for that team going forward because even if you have a great quarterback in Michael Penix and you have these great pieces around at the specialty spots, running back, what a great room they've got there, and at the wideout spot, they've got to be able to protect that quarterback. And I know that that's something that they've had okay lines here the last couple of years, but that's something that's got to be a solid year in, year out for a team like Indiana, I think.
Yeah, and they've got 2 O-line commits right now, 2 good ones. Michael Kadick, who's a guard, who I really like. He's from out of Gibsonia, Pennsylvania, right outside Pittsburgh. His team made it to the state championship. I think he's going to be a good one. And then Matthew Bedford from Cordova, Tennessee, which is right outside Memphis, the same high school. I think it was Jacoby Hewitt played there. And he's looking at some other schools. He visited South Carolina, Mississippi State. I'm hearing that there's some cautious optimism he's going to stick with his commitment, and it'd be a big one because And the good thing about those two guys, they're both coming in mid-year. Now, it's hard for O-linemen to play early, but to get them in mid-year, get them through spring ball, you might have a chance to get them in the two deep. You know, to me, the effectiveness of Indiana's O-line is not – I mean, you want to recruit well this year. They need to get 3 more guys on top of those 2. That's what they're looking to do. But what's going to make their O-line good next year is the guys you have now, because those are the guys they're going to play. You know, like Caleb Jones, Brett Beery, you know, Mackenzie Nora, who played a couple years ago and got a little bit banged up this year. Nick Barozis, who was a freshman last year and redshirted. Aiden Rafferty, who was a freshman. Those are the guys that now it's their time to kind of step up. They're not all going to start, but they need to be in that 2 deep to give you depth. And then obviously you need guys like Simon Stepniak and Hunter Littlejohn, Harry Kreider, you know, Coy Cronk will be back. You know, you need those guys to take that next step, because those are going to be your starters, or at least a good part of your starting lineup. But yeah, you can't miss. The reason why Indiana's, you know, they're looking at JUCOs right now is because 2 or 3 years ago they missed on some linemen. Guys either got hurt and didn't pan out or just weren't good enough. And you don't really see the effects of a bad recruiting class at O-line until about 3 years down the road, because that's when those guys are starting to become your starters and your main guys. So it's just so important to hit on those every year. You're not going to get every single guy right, but you can't go like 1 for 4 or 0 for 3 in a recruiting class. You just can't do that. You got to get a couple of them, because that's such a hard position to find good players at and to get guys ready to play, you know, as soon as possible.
Absolutely. And next week we'll talk about the need of landing a quarterback as well. Something very, very important. But Matt, thanks a lot. We appreciate you as always, man.
Okay, guys. Take care. Have a good week.
Thank you. Matt Weaver from Peegs.com, the football guru for us, keeps us in touch with all things recruiting-wise in football for Indiana. Brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg, for serving Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Jay and Roger Reynolds take care of your family's needs. Reynolds Family Dentistry, 809 Indiana Avenue, Sellersburg. We've got lots more coming up. A.J. Moyer on the show next here on Indiana Sports Beat. Stay tuned. We're right back after this.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area, or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number. alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. This hour of Indiana Sports Beat is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. With hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate it. Great show today. Terry Hutchins will be on. A.J. Moye is coming up as well. All kinds of stuff to talk about today. We've talked about college football potentially expanding to 8 teams, the Big Ten potentially dissolving the divisions. Hit us up on the text line with your thoughts, questions, comments, 812-269-6367.
In listening to that Matt Weaver interview, I figured out the Big Ten's issue. Since Ohio State can never beat the Big Ten West, how about we just trade Ohio State for somebody from the Big Ten West? Perhaps a Northwestern, an Illinois maybe?
There you go.
That solves everything, right?
There you go. Maybe they have to pick up the stadium and move it a little bit.
Just a thought. Well, let's get rid of East-West, and we'll just make divisions, not geographically, but geographically makes the most sense.
In other college basketball news, how about Kentucky's Quade Green leaving? Man, he was the toast of the town last year.
Yeah.
What have you done for me lately?
He's done nothing. And Kentucky, to be quite honest, hasn't probably done much for him lately.
And it continues to crumble. You can just see the cracks in the wall forming, a little bit of dust coming out. That's that big facade that has been Kentucky for the last decade under John Calipari. Won a national championship. They did. They won one. But they had what? The number 1 recruiting class. 8 out of 10 years. Yeah. Did nothing with it.
Well, they won a championship.
They won a championship. UConn won 2 in that same span.
True.
They didn't get 8 out of 10 number 1 recruiting classes. And now you got guys leaving. You got guys that you can't get in the program anymore. The cracks are forming. This and next year is Calipari's last season in Lexington. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Next season's his last year in Lexington. Just my opinion.
I'd agree with that. If it's not this year. I can't imagine it would be, but I think next year for sure, yeah.
Well, this year he'd leave on his own accord.
Yeah.
Next year, I mean, it'd be on his own accord, but it's going to be a lot noisier. How about Louisville? Almost got knocked off by Lipscomb last night.
How bad would that have looked for Indiana had Lipscomb beat Louisville last night?
None.
You don't think that takes down the Louisville-Winnipeg?
They still beat Michigan State.
Sure.
It doesn't help it. It doesn't help it, but, I mean, you can't control what everybody else does every game. So later on, when they beat a team in the ACC, does that not alleviate that? But it's just a letdown. You're coming back home after a huge game, a huge loss on the road. But
if there's anything we learned last year under Indiana's first season with Archie Miller, it's that, and I think you could apply the same thing to Louisville, they're going to have a season full of inconsistencies. They'll get their wins. They'll likely hover around 500 by the end of the season, but it's going to be an extremely inconsistent year.
Would agree with that. A little controversy going on in Indiana football, high school football. Mr. Football was announced yesterday, and the winner, to many, the surprise of many, Jack Kaiser from Single A Pioneer High School. Not David Bell, who everybody in the world thought was going to win that. 60 coaches voted on that. David Bell was named on 17 of the ballots. Kaiser, 30 of the ballots. First time a Single A player has won Mr. Football in the state of Indiana. He's a Notre Dame recruit. A lot of people are up in arms about it. I get it. I mean, David Bell plays for Warren Central, a team that is just a juggernaut of a program, period, basketball and football. Pioneer's a little B.O. tiny school. And, people, Jeff Rabjohns tweeted out yesterday, got a nice discussion going. And noticed he's the second all-time leading receiver in the history of Indiana. And my first question to you was I said, look up the first. Did he win Mr. Football?
He did not.
And he did not.
And surprisingly enough, Anthony Worms, his name, he was just a few yards shy of 5,000 for his career. He actually went to Southern Illinois. Illinois State. Illinois State, sorry.
So, yeah, he's David Bell has put up some great numbers as a receiver and done some great things. Jack Kaiser is the second all-time rusher in the state of Indiana with over 7,300 yards. Not bad. He's going to Notre Dame as a linebacker after playing quarterback.
That just tells me he was the best player on their team. They used him everywhere, more than likely.
And while he was there, they were 56-2. They won 2 state titles.
Is that pretty good?
Ain't bad. So, but still an argument. I think but the biggest argument is over strength of competition. Does the competition that David Bell played and the competition that Jack Kaiser did not play make a difference in that award? That's the question.
Apparently not.
It'll be interesting to see. It's something that we won't see play out for a while. But it's an interesting deal.
And let's not forget with David Bell, Warren Central last year became the first program to ever go undefeated in basketball and football in the same calendar year and win the state championship.
And he started
integral part of all of it, yeah. So, not sure that I agree with it, but I also haven't seen Kaiser.
David Bell is a 4-time high school All-American. Yeah. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year in Indiana. Second all-time receiver in yards, like I said. Yeah, I don't know where I am on this. But I got to tell you, I had never heard of Jack Kaiser until yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I don't follow statewide high school football down to the single A level.
Right. You could follow football around the state, but single A, not sure about that.
So a little surprise there. What do you think? What are your comments? Hit us up on the text line.
We do have a couple texts into the show. Joker texts in and says, I vote for Ohio State and Michigan go to the West, and Northwestern and Illinois come over to the East. I like it.
JR also said that he got to see Kaiser play, that he's the real deal.
Okay.
It wouldn't surprise him if Kaiser is a better college player. So there you go. I mean, I don't think you can penalize him because he goes to a small high school.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
I mean, if he can truly play the quarterback position in high school, and like I said, I'm sure he played everywhere on the field. I'm sure he played his fair share of linebacker. But if he can go to Notre Dame and make the transition from single-A high school and play linebacker at Notre Dame, now, granted, I don't think it's a situation where he'll start right away.
Of course not.
But if he's able to make that transition, yeah, could very well have the same or a
Wide
better
receivers
career.
generally do not win
Right.
the Heisman, Mr.
Sure.
Football, whatever. I mean, that's a real high-profile position.
Yeah.
And David Bell is a very high-profile player. Obviously, don't get me wrong, 4-time high school All-American, Gatorade Player of the Year.
But
how much of that was based on the fact that he played on the best team?
Something to be said for that.
If you took David Bell off of Warren Central and put him in with his backup, how would they do? I got a sneaking suspicion that they're not going to fall apart.
No.
Take Jack Kaiser off of that team falls apart.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. That's likely the case there.
I mean, that's just an argument that you can throw up next to the level of competition thing. Just as something you can throw up in there. But thanks a lot for the text, JR. And whoever else text you read.
Joker.
AJ Moya is on the show today. If you got any questions for him, get them in. Terry Hutchins as well. What do you think about the college football going to 8 teams? We talked about that a little earlier. I guess it can only help. I mean, you certainly won't have an argument about who should have been in. I mean, yeah, there's going to be that same argument down at the bottom, but that's not somebody you're expecting to win at all. Football's just different than basketball, man. It doesn't go too far from chalk. Basketball, you never can tell. Anybody can beat anybody on a given day. Football's a little bit more difficult for that to happen.
Yeah. Either way, congrats to both of them. From everything I've read, they're both standout individuals.
Are you back to the Mr. Football?
Yeah. Sorry. I was reading.
Yes, congratulations to both of them. Now let's move on. I like the 8 teams in the playoffs.
Here's my thing, though: is it when we get to 8, is it going to stop at 8? Or are we going to try to expand? That was a question
I heard too.
Are we going to try to go to 16? Going to try to go to 32? Like, it's got to stop at 8.
I think you stop it at 8. I don't see any need to go any further.
Yeah.
First of all, if you're beyond 8, you probably got 2 losses. You're out.
Sure.
You're out. I mean, football is also different in the fact that the entire season, to me, does play in to the playoffs. It's a direct correlation. Who's going to get in? Basketball, you just got to have a decent enough record. Decent enough.
I'm looking at the rankings right now from this year. Washington comes in at number 9. They have 3 losses. The 3 teams behind them also have 3 losses. So you're
all out.
You're in 3 and 4 loss territory if you go up to 16.
Who was 8? Washington State or
UCF?
UCF.
Mm-hmm.
Where did Washington State finish?
Washington State finished 13.
What? Oh, that's right. They lost to Washington.
Yeah.
So the Pac-12 would not have gotten a team in.
No.
Read off the. We obviously know that the top 4 are Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma. So I assume Ohio State following at 5th?
You've got Georgia at 5th, Ohio State at 6th, and then Michigan at 7th.
Okay.
So in that scenario,
and Central Florida at 8.
Yeah.
So now there's another scenario though. Now you got 2 SEC teams, 2 Big Ten teams, and 0 teams from the Pac-12.
Yeah.
So even extended to 8, I don't think that they should guarantee a spot. That's the question is going to come up. Does each conference get guaranteed a spot? I say no, because you just read all. The Pac-12 is just not a good football conference right now, and they haven't been. So I don't think they should just be awarded a spot.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I don't know that they do get a spot every year. I mean, you're hanging your hat on USC making a comeback in their program, but If that doesn't happen,
not only that,
Pac-12's
you
no
got
good.
0 big Pac-12 teams there and 1 Big 12 team making it in.
Yeah.
So you got 2 conferences, 1 team making it out of the 2, where you got 4 teams out of 2 other conferences. You got stronger players, stronger teams. There, it's going to be interesting, man. Even at 8, it's still going to be interesting. There's going to be a debate. But if you can't get in with 8 teams as a conference, you don't deserve to be in.
No.
I don't think that there should be guaranteed entry. Because now you're looking at guaranteed entry into a 3-loss Washington team. Ridiculous.
I would almost venture, if it was the scenario this year, almost venture to put Washington State in over Washington. Now, I know they're at 9-13, but Washington State at 10-2, to me, had the better year. But they lost in the championship.
To whom?
Washington.
Exactly. So, no, you're out. You're out.
I just hate that one game in college football can mean so much.
Well,
and it's
but
always
it does.
been that
That's
way.
the difference.
Right.
It's only a 12-game schedule as opposed to 3 times that in basketball. So that's what makes football different. That's why you don't need 30 teams. You don't need 64 teams, in my mind. But you also don't have to guarantee the Pac-12 entry because they suck.
God, 64 would be wild. Could you imagine?
No.
That would take forever.
You'd have to start before the season starts. But no. I say no guarantee to conferences, but I guarantee you they're going to. But this year right here is a perfect litmus test. That would have been a mistake. So Washington gets in with a freaking 3 losses, 9-3 record? Please. Ridiculous. When you've got a UCF team that is sitting here 2 years in a row undefeated and can't get in.
Yeah. And it's worth noting, I said UCF was 8. In the AP poll, they're actually 7. So they wouldn't have got Alabama.
And they were a better team last year than they do this year.
Yeah. Well, they did.
They had a better team last year. They were rolling. They had oh my gosh. They deserved to be in last year.
I don't know. I think this year's team had an argument.
They were pretty good.
Before the quarterback went down.
They were pretty good. But it's certainly going to it's not going to, that's going to alleviate one argument and it's going to open up another.
Yep.
Because no guarantee to conference entries, I say. But then you're going to have the Pac-12 bitching and moaning. But what are you going to bitch and moan about? Then quit losing.
Yeah.
Quit losing. Win. Beat somebody. Do something. Well, the one Pac-12 team played Notre Dame. That was Stanford. They lost. You had your chance. Yeah. Your champion has 3 losses. Not acceptable. A conference champion should not have 3 losses. How many losses does Alabama have? How many losses does Ohio State have?
2.
One of those to Michigan. No. I take that back.
They only have 1 loss.
I was going to say, they only lost to Purdue. Yeah. Very healthily by 3 touchdowns. But they beat a Michigan team. So, huge difference. Yeah. You can't have 3 losses in getting in. So I say no guarantees to that.
Joker text into the show says, so with the controversy over Mr. Football and the difference between class competition, does the powers to make changes to the award? Do they make changes to the award, I guess? Do they adopt the millennial attitude and award a Mr. Football for every class?
Oh, my God. They already do it by position.
Yeah.
Nope, they already do it by position now.
Nope, they can keep that millennial attitude. 1 Mr. Football.
I disagree that they call it that. They should not call it the Mr. Football position-wise, but whatever. Yeah, they already have that. How about my boy DeJuan Jones.
Picking up offers from everywhere.
He's the most sought-after recruit in the country. I think I deserve credit for that. Who got on his bandwagon last year? Who?
Oh, you did early.
How many offers did he have
early?
None. Maybe from Hanover or somebody. Now it's coming from USC, from the SEC, from everywhere. He's a superstar.
Oh, when you're 6'8", 370 pounds or whatever, yeah, pretty valuable.
Dude ought to go on Dancing with the Stars.
Got an offer from Penn State yesterday.
Who hasn't he gotten an offer from? We got a lot coming up on the show today. Terry Hutchins is on. Also, how about A.J. Moye? Looking forward to talking to A.J. Get your questions in if you got them on the text line, 812-269-6367. We got a lot more to go here on the program, so make sure you stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is coming right back after this.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on
Well, we're coming to your city. We're gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, welcome along to Indiana Sports Beat. Thanks a lot for joining us, whatever you're doing, wherever you're going. We appreciate you taking us along for the ride. Jim Coyle sitting in with you. Hope your day's off to a great start. Justin Kalen high top the crew chief's box.
That's right.
Got plenty to get to today. Terry Hutchins on the show, as always, and special guest, A.J. Moye. A.J. Moye. Looking forward to talking to A.J. Lots to talk about today. College football possibly going to 8 teams. Big Ten division realignment. Oladipo returns to the Pacers. Before we get to all that, let's get to the headlines with Justin.
All right, here are your headlines for this Thursday, December 13th, brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. Kentucky sophomore Quade Green transferring from the men's basketball program. He announced that yesterday. Reds with a good offseason trade as they get starting pitcher Tanner Roark from the Nationals. And the Chargers and Chiefs get set for Thursday night football tonight. Those are your headlines for this December 13th. Brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
And welcome back. Victor Oladipo returned to the Pacers last night.
Yeah, he did.
A very welcome return as they win. What did they won 13-97?
Good win over the Bucks.
It's nice to see him back.
Yeah.
You know, the Raptors beat the Warriors by 20 without Kawhi Leonard.
How about that?
Woo!
So all this talk about the Warriors coming into the season having the greatest season of all time, and they've already, I believe that was their 10th loss.
Well, the strength seems to be in the East this year, which is funny.
Weird.
Because LeBron James leaves, and now the strength's in the East. Victor Oladipo and the Pacers trying to get a piece of that as he has now returned. So glad to see that. We'll talk to Grant Abseth tomorrow about that. Get all up to date. Today on the program, A.J. Moye, like I said, Terry Hutchins along as well. There's been some talk about college football going to 8 teams in the playoffs. What do you all think about that? Hit us up on the text line, 812-269-6367. It's a good thing, I think. You're going to eliminate one argument about who deserves that 4th spot. But guess what? That just moves down 4 places to the 8th spot. But it's a little easier there because, as we were talking earlier, when you get down to that 9th team has got 3 losses, they're out, man. I don't care who they are, where they're coming from, and I don't care who they've lost to. Yeah. I don't care if they've lost to the Rams, the Patriots, and the Bills. Doesn't matter. 3 losses, you're out, man. And I don't think you deserve to get in just because you're in a conference. A conference champion should not be guaranteed this, and a perfect example of that this year is the Pac-12. Their champion was Washington. They're 9-3.
10-3.
10-3, rather. They were 9-3 going into the conference championship. So that doesn't. I don't think that fills the bill very well.
No.
Mr. Football in Indiana was announced. A little shock. David Bell did not win it. He was kind of their prohibitive favorite going in. 4-time high school All-American, Gatorade Player of the Year in Indiana, 2nd all-time leading rusher in the state. Loses out to Jack Kaiser. First single-A team member to win that award in Indiana. A Notre Dame recruit.
So much for Indiana having the Indiana Mr. Basketball, Indiana Mrs. Basketball, and Indiana Mr. Football all on campus at the same time.
Yeah, well, I think that dream was eroding anyway. David Bell.
Not looking good.
Penn State, Purdue, Indiana, his final 3, I believe. Penn State long thought to have the inside track on that. That may be moving towards Purdue with Jeff Brom staying there. How's your day going? I hope you're having a great time. Indiana taking on Butler this Saturday at the Bankers Life Fieldhouse for the Crossroads Classic. We'll talk about that with Terry Hutchins today. We'll talk to AJ about that as well. Tomorrow, Todd Leary will be on, and we'll preview that game a little more in-depthly.
Speaking of basketball, Tim texts in and asks, was Keon Brooks having an in-home with one of the schools? He read that he had an in-home coming up, but did not pay to read further to see what school he was having an in-home with.
Well, I didn't see that, but what I did see was Trace Jackson Davis tweet out yesterday. Well, actually, there was a picture. I think Indiana basketball may have sent it out.
Yeah. Hometown Hoosiers.
Hometown Hoosiers, but it had Demezi on it. It had Trace Jackson on it. It had Armand on it.
Romeo
and Trace retweets it with a quote that just says, "We're missing one," and he calls out, well, not calls out, but mentions Keon Brooks. Little recruiting action.
Love it. Yeah, you know what's funny about that is I absolutely hate when fans do that. But when it's another recruit doing it, I love it. I think that's phenomenal.
Definitely making the push.
Yeah.
Not that I think it's going to. I think it's going to be what happens, actually.
Right. I mean, when you've got two of your best friends, Armand Franklin and Trace Jackson Davis, consistently texting you, consistently telling you, hey, join us at Indiana. And then you, of course, got Romeo commenting on stuff on Instagram that he wants to see Trace Jackson and Keon Brooks together at Indiana. I just think it's a perfect storm for Keon to join the Hoosiers.
And Keon has talked about how cool it would be to play with Indiana across your chest.
Yeah, that was like his initial reaction towards Indiana when he first busted onto the scene.
I think it happens.
Yeah, I do too.
Sooner rather than later. But we'll see about that. Quade Green transferring from Kentucky. The cracks are forming. I've said it. Next season, last season in Lexington for John Calipari.
Foundation going to fall.
Well, the inability to recruit, which just coincidentally coincides with the FBI investigation. Funny how that happened. Funny how their great recruiting just died all of a sudden. I guess that's just a coincidence. I'm certain of that. Coaching mistakes being brought up, being made. Not getting the players they've been getting. Players transferring now. A player that was the toast of the town last year. The cracks are there.
I mean, I get why Quade would want to transfer, though. I mean, he's a sophomore. He's not even starting point guard. You've got 2 point guards behind you that are freshmen in Emmanuel Quickly and Ashton Hagans.
He played quite a bit last year.
Last year he was one of the better players on the team, no question.
Just saying, the cracks in the wall. Cracks in the foundation.
Interesting to see where he goes.
Well, that will be interesting. A mid-season transfer, no less, on top of that.
Now, when they transfer mid-season, he just has to sit out the rest of this season and he's eligible at the beginning of next season, or he has to sit out next season as well?
He will not be eligible until mid-season next year.
My gosh.
Well, that's
so
better
it's just a year from when you transfer.
Yeah, but that's better than waiting until the season's over. Then you miss the entire season. Now he gets to play. He's missed half a season. I guess he sees it as that he's missed half a season this year by not getting to play. And so therefore he's probably going to miss half a season next season. Yeah. I mean, this year. So why not use that to his advantage? If he's going to miss it, might as well be halfway getting to play for somebody else.
Sure. Tim says UK can't win with all 5 stars. They can't win, period.
Well, they haven't. They got to where they were winning games, but yeah, that little honeymoon, that's over in Lexington. Because now coaching skills are going to be required, and I just don't see that that's something that Calipari possesses much of.
Yeah. He acts like a coach. He screams and claps and
Clapper? What? Clappy? That reminds me of somebody.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Clappy. But, yeah, I mean, he's like the perfect example of somebody.
What if Clappy beats Calipari?
I'm ready. I am so ready for that.
That would be awesome.
Sign me up.
And that's, well, they'll have 2 chances for that.
Yeah.
So looking for that. Clappy and Calipari. The rematch. You know, he's beaten him 2 out of the last 3 times he's faced him.
Where did that nickname come from?
Because all he did was run clapping. He's a cheerleader.
I just think it's funny.
It is funny. Hope your day is going great. Hit us up on the text line with any comments, questions you might have for Terry Hutchins, AJ Moye, 812-269-6367.
Tim says, give Archie 2 5-stars and we go further in UK.
Well, probably so. We'll see about that.
Well, he's got 1 now. Perhaps could have 2 next year.
Well, he will have 2 next. Well, he will more than likely have 2 next year.
Could have 3 next year.
I don't see that happening. We had that discussion off air. What did you say?
I said there's a chance that Romeo stays.
Why? No, you said you think you see it. You got to make sure you phrase it as your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it is my opinion. I think there's a chance Romeo stays, albeit I don't think it's a very good chance, but I think there's a possibility, especially if Keon commits. I mean, Romeo wants to play with both of them, I think. And I don't know that he wants to wait until the NBA to do so. Just my thought. I'd put it at 1%. If I had to guess.
Well, so when you're saying there's a chance, you're
1%.
saying there's a 1% chance.
Yeah. If I had to guess.
So what you're saying is there's a 99% chance he's not.
Gone. Correct.
You're really not laying that opinion out too strong there.
What do you mean? No, I mean that's what my opinion is. I don't think there's a.
Well, of course there's a 1% chance he stays. My God, there's a 1% chance that anything in life happens.
Okay, I'll tell you this. If Keon commits, I think the chance of Romeo staying at Indiana goes up significantly. How about that?
A lot of people think that.
Because, I mean, it's kind of like a Cody Zeller situation where, okay, you've got this class behind you. Seems like they're going to be pretty dang good. Hey, maybe I'll stick around and play with them, see if we can't get something done.
A lot of people think that. I wish that were the case, but I don't think that.
Yeah.
I think he'd be gone.
You're likely right.
Johnny G was listening, but he would prefer if it was tomorrow, and then Todd Leary would be on the program, but Todd's not on the program, so he's got to listen to me.
That's unfortunate.
It is. I concur. Hey, we've got a lot coming up right after this. AJ Moye's on the show. Make sure you stick around. We'll be right back.
You can carry me through. Oh, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I want to get lost in your rockin'.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368. All right, AJ, whenever you're ready.
All right, crew, let's get her done.
Indiana Sports Beat.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Joined as we had hoped to be by A.J. Moyer, one of my absolute favorite Hoosiers of all time. A.J., thank you, sir, for joining us.
Hey, no problem, man. I love it. I love it. I love Indiana. This place is home.
Man, we got to see you back at Assembly Hall this past weekend for the Louisville game. First time you'd made it back since you played there, I think. What kept you away so long?
Well, man, I got to give credit where credit is due, man. It was Archie Miller, and I met Archie this past summer. I usually always go to Assembly Hall maybe once every 2 years, and I always go and talk with Tim Garl, because Tim Garl is he's just an amazing man. I'm so thrilled that they finally named the training room after him, and but he's an amazing man. So we always kept our friendship, and I went back to see Tim this summer, and then when I was talking to Tim, man, Archie Miller just came out of the blue and knew who I was, and he spoke to me, and we exchanged numbers. He asked me for a picture. And then after that, man, we just been talking. We talked probably 1-2 times a week. And then I remember one week we spoke to like 3 in the morning in California. So I was like, man, Archie doesn't sleep. You know what I mean? But, Archie's a fantastic dude, man. And so Archie asked me, would I have time, because I was coming back to get married. And I said, yeah, sure. And then I told him, Louisville, he said, no problem, I got you. And he got tickets for my fiance and my brother-in-law, and it was just a real great time. So I was so thankful, and it still took me a while. And then too, I've always been playing basketball, so I've been playing basketball up until about 4 years ago. And then, even then, I was always involved with basketball, so I was always a head coach. So I always had, like, the coach games and coach stuff. So the thing is, I'm getting married in 2 days.
Woo-hoo.
Right? So,
congratulations.
Yeah. And she's a Hoosier. So so it was kind of like it's kind of a perfect storm, you know what I'm saying? So I came on back.
Any chance of you moving back to the Hoosier State?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think, man, it's a strong possibility. We have to, have to find something that works. Of course, I'd love to coach down there with Archie, but that's going to take, that in itself, it will work itself out if it's supposed to be. I'm not really worried about it, but I got friends, with all the organizations in Indiana. So it's just going to be, I have to really sit down and I have to really see. Because right now in California, I work at a Mamba Sports Academy. It's Kobe Bryant's company. And then I also I coach high school basketball, and then we're real good out there. I usually have 2 or 3 Division I players every year. So it's just a thing where it has to feasibly make sense. But, man, I would love to be back in the Hoosier State, man. The way these fans have treated me and the way the people of Indiana, the good people of Indiana, have treated me since I've been here for about a week, man, it's been unbelievable. It's been second to none.
Well, you're one of the beloved Hoosiers. You played on a team that was just remarkable. I mean, I remember as a fan being in the stands in Lexington for the games against Duke and Kent State. I was in Atlanta for the Final Four. Just an unbelievable run. And a quick story, and I told you this in Bloomington, but me and one of my best friends, his father, Oski, we were down in Atlanta, and we're walking in, the mile, however long it was to get to the dome. But we walking in with this other gentleman, and, boy, he's talking, and Oski, the older guy that I was with, he was like, man, he sure had a lot of interest in that game. And I'm like, oh, real? Why? He goes, well, that was A.J. Moye's dad. So we had the great fortune of walking in with your father down there. Super nice guy then. But and I mentioned that to you then, and you informed me that he had passed a couple years ago. So we sorry for that. But, man, it was a great, great conversation getting to walk in with him.
Yeah, man, it's always a great anything, man. When you got to meet my father, I think people ask me all the time. They say, "Hey, man, you're nice," or "Hey, man, you're this, you're this." And I'm not saying like nice at basketball. They just mean I'm a nice person. And the people that do ask me about it, I tell them I get it from my father. My father was just such an amazing man. He really had a heart, and he just really loved God. And he just really loved people. He used to tell me all the time, be nice to everyone you meet, treat everyone with respect. And he's like, hey, listen to him. He's like, listen to everybody you meet. You'll find something new. You'll find something out cool. And that was my guy. So I'm thrilled that you got to meet him and thrilled that you got to talk with him and he got to spend some time with you. That really means a lot to me.
Well, I appreciate that, and obviously the apple didn't fall far from the tree because you heeded his advice, and it served you well. As I said, one of the most beloved Hoosiers, and from that team, man, that was such a fun time. And I got to tell you, I saw you took a picture next to the picture that's my favorite sports picture of all time. The picture of A.J. Moye blocking Carlos Boozer, a 6'4" A.J. Moye blocking a 6'8" Carlos Boozer. To me, the greatest photograph, definitely in Indiana's history, but just I tell my producer all the time, if that was me, my house would be wallpapered in that poster.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing, man. I don't even own I don't even own a picture of Slight Memento. I don't own anything of that. Because, I mean, the reason why is like my mom has it up at home, and my dad had it up at his home, and my brothers each got individual pictures in their room. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, and then every I'm telling you, probably about 3 to 5 times a week, someone comes up to me, hey, man, that block on Boozer was crazy. Like, so it's definitely a moment in time that I feel that was a significant moment in sports history, because you got one guy, All-American, big man, power forward, and you got a little a guard, and then just gets up and blocks him.
Coming up from your upbringing and then coming to Indiana, you get to play in that great environment. But could you imagine being a part of a moment in time like that is just etched into people's memories, but it's solidified with so much that people do keep that picture, that poster. Indiana's got it in Assembly Hall. It is such an iconic thing. And what's it like being a part of an iconic moment like that?
Well, I'll tell you this. And I don't mean this to sound cocky or anything, but I mean, I feel like that's what I worked for my whole life, to be in moments like that. That's why I went to Indiana. I remember when Coach Knight was recruiting me, he said, hey, man, I think with the talent that I have down there and the talent we got coming in, he's like, if I got a tough, SOB like you, he's like, I think we can get to the Final Four every year you're in college. He said, how does that sound? I said, sounds great. Sign me up. You know what I mean? And because the thing is, I knew I was a competitor. I'm a competitor, man. I'm not gonna say I'm the best competitor in the world, but I know if someone throws a sandwich out on the floor, I'm probably gonna bite everybody to get that sandwich before, So that's how I am, and so I went to Indiana, man, to be a part of moments like that, and I'm just so thrilled that I was able to fulfill like a part of a childhood dream, a lifelong dream. Because when you're playing basketball, you always want to. Well, for me, I wanted to win, and I wanted to compete in such a way that it would inspire others to believe in their dreams and believe in themselves as well. And so, I'm just grateful. And then on the other hand, I love Indiana, man. You know what I mean? I just love Indiana, so I'm just glad that I could be a part of the Hoosier lore in some way or some fashion.
I think that poster, if it does nothing else, it describes competitiveness. I mean, the very thing that you talked about, because here, again, a 6'4", A.J. Moye and a 6'8", All-American Carlos Boozer, that just, to me, that screams that I want to overachieve. I'm going to do everything possible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much all it was, man. We were just trying to reach our goals, man. You know what I mean?
And going back to that team, that is not a team that anybody in the world, maybe outside of the 12 guys on that floor and Mike Davis, thought had any chance of going to a Final Four that season. That had any chance of getting past a defending champion Duke, that had any chance of coming back from a 17-point deficit and beating Duke with all the teams, all the guys they had, and Mike Krzyzewski. But yet, that's exactly what happened. What in the world was it like being on that run?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this, man. The Coach Knight's credit, Coach Davis was awesome. And Coach Treelor, though, John Treelor, oh, man, he was awesome. Like, every round, he had, like, this new edge, this new take on it. And before we played Duke, he showed us the Buster Douglas-Mike Tyson fight, right? And everyone in the world, oh, Mike Tyson, Mike. And then they were fighting, and it had to be about 2 rounds before he ended up knocking Mike out. And he paused it during this one little exchange they were having, right? And in the exchange, you could see Buster Douglas's eyes. And in his eyes, he looked possessed. You know what I mean? He just looked possessed. It looked like there was no way on God's green earth this guy was going to lose. And he didn't lose. And so he told us, hey, that's how you guys got to go out tomorrow night, and you guys got to fight, and you guys got to do this. But one thing I'm going to say, too, about that is, people look at us, right, and they say, oh, man, you guys, I don't know how you guys did. Hey, we were pretty good. You know what I mean? We had like maybe 5 or 6 Mr. Basketball, and we had maybe 6 or 7, high school All-Americans. So it wasn't like we were a slouch team. It's just that, you know, we weren't UNLV, you know what I mean? But we were guys that played basketball at a very high level.
Oh, yeah,
So,
because after you beat Duke, you had to beat Kent State to get to the Final Four.
Yeah.
But you beat a great Oklahoma team and the future IU coach and Kelvin Sampson once you got there. So it didn't stop. That wasn't a fluke win. You guys almost won a national championship.
Yeah, and then along the way, man, we had a lot of people that kind of help us out. You know what I mean? Because USC, they lost. I think Scalabrini was on that team. Sam Clancy, they were good, but they lost to what UNC Wilmington, right? So we'd have played USC in the second round, but they lost to UNC Wilmington. And then you had Pittsburgh losing to Kent State. So you know what I mean? It was things along the way, and no offense to Kent State or UNC Wilmington, but you know, there were games where all right, we had the size advantage, and when we got a massive size advantage inside, man, we knew what to do, man. Get the ball down low to Jared Jeffries and Jeff Newton. And then we'd all move and relocate, and then they kick it back out, and then you know it's bombs away. Then we probably had like about 4 or 5 guys hovering around 40% from 3 that year. So it was a pretty good team.
It was amazing to watch, an amazing ride to follow from a fan perspective. Now, I know you. Do you get much of a chance to follow Indiana now? I know you haven't been able to get back as much as you want, but have you been able to follow the team?
I follow them all the time. And see, that's the reason, and again, that's another reason why I came back. It's Archie, man. I'm telling you, Archie coaches. He coaches in a way, man, that guys just don't coach anymore. You know, he holds guys accountable. He's not going to play you based on who you are. You know, he's going to play you based on what you do when you get out there. And Archie will leave anybody in the game, man. It doesn't matter who. He just wants you playing right, playing hard, playing the right way. He wants to move in the ball. You know what I mean? And he gets on him about defense. I mean, he loves defense, and he loves them to be unselfish and move the ball. And, man, anyone who coaches in that manner, in that way, man, I love them. You know what I mean? So I really do. I really do love Archie. I really do.
Well, we're looking forward to hopefully one day seeing A.J. Moye back on an Indiana sideline. That would be something I think the fans would just absolutely love.
Well, that would be a dream come true for me. But as I said, man, I'm a firm believer in a manifest destiny, you know, if you will. I just believe that if you work for it and you got a good heart and you're a good person, I believe everything has a way of working itself out for the betterment of whatever you're trying to do.
Couldn't be any more well said. A.J. Moye, I cannot thank you enough. I'd love to be able to do this again as the season progresses, maybe check back in, see what's going on with you and your teams, and well as what you see in the Indiana Hoosiers this year.
Oh, yes, sir. No problem.
A.J. Moye, former Indiana great, thank you again. We appreciate you, sir, and good luck on your season coming up right now.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. I got because I told, like last year, off my last year team, I had 3 guys that went D1. So I got Big Zeke Richards. He starts out at Santa Clara. He's a freshman. I got Riley Batten, awesome, talented freshman. Plays for Utah. He starts. I'm actually going down to Kentucky because Utah plays Kentucky at Kentucky on Saturday. So I get married on Friday. Then I'm going down to see Riley play. And then I got Wes Slackert, who's a freshman. He's at Dartmouth, and he's in a rotation. So, and then he's got a little brother, Clark Slackert, who's leading the state of California in scoring this year. He's a junior, and he averages about 5-6 assists for us. So he's the next D1 one out of our school. So just been working and teaching, man. That's it.
Just got to hear some next time. We got to hear some of those players that are coming to Indiana.
Oh yeah, I'm trying.
AJ Moye, thank you, sir. Look forward to it. Congratulations on getting married, and good luck. We wish the best of luck to you and your fiancée.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you, AJ Moye, one of the greats from the Hoosier lore. We're so thankful for that. Brought to you by, of course, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. We got Terry Hutchins coming up on the show here next. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat's right back after this.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Nothing makes you smile more than our weekly visits with Terry Hutchins. Terry, how are you, sir?
Well, I bet I'm better than A.J. Moye was doing a live interview this morning. Good Lord.
What are you talking about?
The guy,
everybody else gets up in the morning.
Well, he's in Indy, but he's still on California time, I know.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
He's
probably
getting
like 4 o'clock in the morning in his head.
In California it certainly is. But, yeah, he's getting married in 2 days there.
I know.
Are you the best man?
Yeah, it was great. It was great to catch up with AJ on Saturday at the Louisville game. It's been a long time. When I did a book a couple of years ago, I did a book called Missing Banners that looked back on all the years when Indiana had a team that could go to the national championship or look like they could but didn't, or win the national championship. One of the years we talked about was 2002, and I interviewed all the guys from that team, but AJ was great, gave me some great insights on a whole bunch of different things, and it's good to see that he's got got everything under control and moving in the right direction, and that was great to see him this weekend.
Yeah, and he's really wanting to get. Well, he's in coaching, but collegiate coaching is something that's on his mind, and he would love nothing more to be at Indiana. He made no bones about that, so that would be a great thing to see one day.
Yeah, absolutely. He mentioned that to me as well, that he really thought that he would probably end up more than likely settling back in Indiana. And, he's a guy that he's a great motivator, and I'm sure he would be really great with young kids.
What's your favorite A.J. Moye story?
There's so many.
Yeah, and Terry Hutchins probably has more IU stories than any human walking the planet. Great stories, some of which you can't tell, but still,
True.
So lots of great stories.
A.J. Moye stories. He once said that he was so deep into Mike Davis's doghouse that he was getting cable delivered there, or getting cable there, and getting his mail delivered there. But he was always a great quote. I mean, the one that everybody remembers is right before they played Duke in the Sweet 16.
Oh, the greatest quote ever.
And it is. And he said, I don't know what all the fuss is about. I mean, it's not like we're playing Jesus Christ and the 12 disciples. He says, they put on their pants just like I do, one leg at a time. Oh, it was great. And Moye was always great for brevity. And one of the first times I ever talked to him, I'll never forget this because it was just a preseason, interview where you're standing around with guys and asking them about the season, and in a 2-sentence reply, he used Charles Manson, Jeffrey Dahmer, and Gandhi in a 2-sentence reply, and the question was, how do you think Indiana basketball will do this season? I mean, it was craziness. But A.J. was always good for that stuff. Pretty funny guy.
He is amazing, and what a great run that was. When I was talking to him about that, I'm like, wow, that's one of the magical runs in Indiana lore. I mean, they're not the only team to come close to not get a title, but they're probably the most unsuspecting to do so. What a great run that was. It was a fun time.
It was. I mean, when you look at it, I forget what they were for sure going into Big Ten play, but it was like 8-7 or 7-6 or something like that. And Tom Coverdale talked about how they had a players-only meeting as they went into the Northwestern game to open the Big Ten that year. And the players-only meeting was at that point, they had a run of like 17 or 18 years in a row of making the NCAA tournament, and they had a players meeting where the topic was, hey, we don't want to be the team that ends that run, so we need to figure this whole thing out. And I still think George Leach becomes the most valuable player on that team for what happens in the opening tip of the Northwestern game to open Big Ten play. Because on the opening tip, George Leach goes up and he comes down and he sprains his ankle. And that was what made Jared Odell a starter on that team. And I really think, you can look back at, that team really got good once Odell got into the lineup, and he had so many good games down the stretch and had a couple in the NCAA tournament as well. And that's a great team because people forget that was a team that needed to win on its win in the last game of the Big Ten season to finish in a 4-way tie for first, and there was still a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. And boy, it made a great run, and no one thought they'd get past Duke, obviously, in the Sweet 16. Nobody thought they'd get past USC in the second round, except for UNC Wilmington knocked off USC and kind of made Indiana's road to the Final Four a little bit easier.
AJ mentioned that specifically as well, but what a great run it was. And then also another, on a somber note, Eric Anderson, Hoosier Nation lost him, another great player from another team that was close to winning a national championship that Indiana came so close to. But what a great team that was, but what a great teammate he's remembered as being. I've never heard anything but great things said about Eric Anderson.
Yeah, it's interesting how people are remembered in death sometimes is, all you hear is all these wonderful things about somebody. But, Eric Anderson, I truly believe it was genuine. We heard an outpouring from so many different people. I think that Brian Evans quote was the one that got me. Was he talked about, how what one of the things he learned from Eric was how to be a great father, and what a great father Eric Anderson was to his son Sam, who I believe is 20 years old. But you hear one thing after another about him. I wrote a column in CNHI newspapers today, and it's kind of a depressing column, I'll admit it. But I look back at Eric Anderson is the 6th IU basketball player that I know of in the last, I don't know how many years. Let's see, probably 13 years. 6th former IU basketball player who's died before the age of 52. That is staggering. 1 is too many for that list. But you're talking, this is going back to Jason Collier in 2005. Yeah, he only played 1 year at IU, but he still played at IU before transferring to Georgia Tech. And he died while he was a member of the Atlanta Hawks. You had Neil Reed, obviously, who died in California. You had
Daryl Thomas.
Daryl Thomas was this past March. And then I can't believe they're escaping me now. One of them was James Hardy. Again, only played 1 year of basketball at IU and was known more for his football career. But he died a few years ago as well. And, it's just too many guys that have died way too young.
Absolutely. It's always a sad note, but especially when they're younger than they should be. And you mentioned your books. You've got so many of them out. That would, if you're looking for a Christmas gift, there you go. Terry's got a litany of books out. What was your latest book that you put out?
So I wrote 2 children's books that came out this year, and I laugh because Okay. So all I've ever written is Indiana books, and I wrote an Indiana kids book 2 years ago. It's a cute little book called Hoosiers, and I had some fun with that. And anyway, so then I did that, and then came back with a kids book this year called When I Grow Up, I Want to Play at Indiana. And so I laughed because I also did the Purdue version of it called When I Grow Up, I Want to Play at Purdue. I'm not sure how I wrote a Purdue book, but I did. Any Purdue kids out there as well, that'd be a fun little book for them. It's actually, the book's done really well. It's only been out, the Purdue book's only been out for a little over a month. The Indiana book for about 2 months. But yeah, I mean, those are the 2 new books. I got plenty of adult books too. The best place to go to get my books, I have my own website. It's www.terryhutchinspublications.com, and I spell my last name Hutchens. And yeah, you can go in there and you can get, I discount most of my books except for my brand new ones in there, and there's a way that I can personalize them to you, and yeah, that's a good way to go. And you're right, I've got 13 books now. Have a lot of fun stuff, and then since you give me a forum here, let me pub one more thing too, and that's today from 4 to 8. I'm doing a book signing in Columbus, Indiana, on the square at Viewpoints Bookstore. And it's a fun little story because when I did this event in 2016, and I read to the kids, and this little boy came up to me afterwards, and he said, "Hey, how do you pick the names for the kids in your kids' book?" And I said, "Well, the 2 boys on the couch in that one were my own sons, Brian and Kevin." And he's like, he's like 8 years old. He's like, "Oh, that is so cool." He says, "If you ever write another kid's book, will you put me in it?" I said, "Sure." So wrote down his name, his mom's information, the whole thing. Anyway, when I wrote this one, I ended up using him. His name was Nolan, and his little sister is Addison. So Nolan and Addie are the main characters in this book. They're from Hope, Indiana, and I made them a deal, and I said, "Hey, I'll put your names in the book under one condition, and that's that you come back to the same event with me, and you sit at the table and you sign the books with me." So they are going to be my special guests tonight in Columbus, Indiana, so I'm excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you ever named us something after us, Justin, it would be one of the dogs or something in the story. Indiana playing a big game this Saturday. They take on the Butler Bulldogs. They've had a week off because of finals after a big win over Louisville. This is another big game, something they need to get knocked down for the NCAA resume.
It's interesting that so after the Duke game, you looked at that next stretch, and there was 4 games, and you're thinking, these are 4 big games in terms of, how we view this team going forward. And you're able to beat Northwestern at home by a couple of points. You beat Penn State by 2 on the road. You get the 1-point win over Louisville, although it was more like a 4-point, whatever. But so you've made good on the first 3 of those 4 games, and so now you have Butler coming up, and yeah, it's a big game for sure. Indiana's always had troubles with Butler, in this event, and should be a great atmosphere Saturday in Bankers Life. You have Purdue and Notre Dame first at around 1:30, and then you have Indiana and Butler around 3:45. But no, I love the Crossroads Classic. I think it's a great event. I've written in the past that it'd be fun if you could find a way to expand it and include a few more teams, make it a true Hoosier Classic, and put Ball State and Evansville and Indiana State and maybe IPFW or somebody like that in there too, Valpo, IUPUI. if there was a way to make it a true Hoosier Classic, it would be cool. But even as it is right now, I love the format where you play, you play either Butler. If you're Indiana, you play Butler or Notre Dame every year. And, I think this is the 8th one of these we've had. And so it seems like it's an event that's here to stay.
I agree. Terry Hutchins from CNHI Papers. Make sure you check him out today in Columbus, Indiana, and special guests for his special book signing. Terry, thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thank you. Terry Hutchins from CNHI Papers. That's going to wrap it up for today's show. For Justin Kalen, I'm Jim Coyle. Join us tomorrow for Todd Leary. I'll see you on the radio.